Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now, today we had a fantastic day trading the markets, and we're able to make some really great plays on the upside movement that was happening with the SPY, as well as what was going on with the QQQ, and just a couple of different things that are happening in the tech sector that was sending the market to an upward motion. Caught some great plays, anywhere between 20 and about 120% at the most. Great opportunities. We're going to go over a couple of different ones, a couple of different setups that I had in mind today and what we saw on some of the charts, just so we can go ahead and review and be better prepared for opportunities that are going to continue to come in this market squeeze type scenario, squeeze season scenario that we're in going forward. And we're going to do all of that right after this.
Stocks?
The market's crashing.
No.
Had some great plays that we took today on QQQ, Amazon, GLD, Apple, and Intel that actually went to put up some good gains up for us on the board. And we're going to go over some of those details today in this video on how to take these excellent setups going forward and put some money in your pockets on additional plays in the future. All right, now I got the triple Qs up here on the screen. We're going to take a look at some of the price action that took place today and why I entered the trade the way I did. I actually wound up picking up 0 DTE or 0 days to expiration calls today on this particular index, simply because of the pattern that I've seen we've been forming in the last couple of days. This is a bullish bat pattern in harmonics. If you want to learn more about harmonics trading, go ahead and message me or hit me with a comment in the bottom comment section here. But as far as this is concerned, we were able to go ahead and enter this particular play because we did go ahead and hit some of my levels, as well as what we also got into with just the momentum side of things with our EMA and SMA crosses early morning today, after crossing over certain key levels. So we're going to zoom in here to the 15-minute time frame, a little bit closer up. I generally like to play the 15 and 5-minute time frames on daily entrances for scalps, as well as general options plays. I usually like to play one strike closer as well as one strike further out, unless the situation looks really good, and I'll take 0 DTEs, index types of plays. The QQQ is pretty much the same idea. Went ahead, entered in when I noticed that we had the movement here. The crosses took place in the morning. Again, I used a 921 cross as well as a 1348 cross above and below the 200 smooth moving average, as well as the moving average, the 200 moving average, and also the 200 exponential moving average. In this particular case, volume was looking really good in the morning. We noticed the crosses took place in the pre-market here. You can see the yellow plus sign shows that this is a 921 EMA cross in the 15-minute. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer to the 5-minute as well. And on the 5-minute, you can see the same situation took place here, where we had the crosses in pre-market. The purple is the 1348 cross, and the yellow cross is the 921 cross. Both of those showed crossing this morning. Good indication that this thing was going to move up. I waited to make my entry today till roughly about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once I noticed we got our initial volume pop, we went ahead and bumped our heads here on a 200 moving average on this particular chart, which to me looked like a sign of reaccumulation because we were above the 9 moving average, which is this light blue line that I have marked here. You can see we bumped our head on the 200, came back down, tested the 200, the 9 moving average, bounced on the 48, which is this green line, and then we went for it to break above this 200 moving average, which was my key sign to enter into the play. My purple support line, which again I planned in advance, had already been broken, and this was a key indication here to go ahead and purchase those calls. I had 20 contracts at the time, and just basically rode this thing all the way up, riding the 9 EMA all the way up until it broke this smooth moving average that I use here. Again, another indication of positive continuation to the upside, up towards my next target, which again, it continued to break. I noticed that there was no resistance coming up here. It never went back to test the 9 EMA, so it just continued to hold this position all the way up until it broke and came back down and started to play the downside of the 9 EMA here. Once it broke, this is about where I exited my calls just before lunchtime, roughly about 11:30. I exited my calls once I started to get there, and it was roughly about 120 to 130% play. At the most, at the peak, it was roughly around 150 or so percent. But the rules still apply. Same concept I use on every single type of scalp, but I usually look for, again, the main crosses, again, 921, the 1348, as well as the confirmation above the 200 moving average for calls. Generally speaking, you would wait for confirmation above it. If it does not bounce above it and you got the crosses to the downside, you'd be looking for plays, put plays to the downside, and that was not the case here. Obviously, this continued to ride up all the way up until it hit the mark. I had 352 0 DTE calls, wound up again going and touching as high as 353, well above the mark. This could have easily been a 300% play if you would have stayed in. But again, the short dollar is a lot better than the speculative dollar in this case. Take your profits as you go along, put money in your pocket, move on with your day. And that's exactly what we did, and we stick to those rules on this channel. So it's all about making money. The outcome is supposed to be income. Don't let a green trade turn red. Other opportunities to go ahead and take this play. You could have gone short for a quick period of time. Once this crossed down, you could have made a quick dollar going to the downside as well once you hit this mark. Overall, I do see the QQQs continuing to run afterwards. You can see we got this bounce off the smooth moving average here, and it started to make its way continuing upward into the after hours. I do see our next target I have marked already, 354.26 in the short term. I do believe that the market is still going to push with Teslas and all of the tech stocks that are really pushing right now. Amazon is going crazy, which was another play we took today. So we're going to go and go cover Amazon as well. But in the longer term, if you do have other calls outside of just the daily that we took today, if you were following me on Twitter, again, follow me on Twitter. That's where I post a lot of my high quality plays. Link is down in the description. So the next target we have here, we have the volume starting again to decrease, but it is on a step up above the signal line in the after hours, or heading into the after hours. We still have our crosses here on the 1 hour time frame. Crosses took place for 9:21, and you can see this green line is going to represent your 48, and the purple line is going to represent your 13 EMA. If these cross, the momentum means is going to continue to the upside. We'll take a look at the volume just to kind of go ahead and confirm that, but the upside movement is still in place. If we go ahead and break this level I have marked here at 354.26, next target is going to be my XA off that bat pattern we talked about a minute ago at 355.18. So a lot of upside for the QQQs. Again, I know the macroeconomics is looking crazy right now. We have a lot of excitement going into FOMC and the rate hike decision, but the chart to the charts, the opportunity for upside is here, and money's available. So we're gonna take it because it's here. Next up, we got Amazon, and Amazon, same situation. They've been trying to sell this thing off and push it back down, but Amazon is probably one of the more bullish stocks right now in the market. And we've been looking at this thing for the last couple of days after the sell-off, the drastic sell-off we had over the early part of the week. It came back down, and we noticed that the positive volume was starting to step in on the lows, roughly down here on this mark that I had placed at 121, which is also a bounce on the 1 hour time frame off of the 200 moving average, as well as a 200 EMA exponential moving average, which is a prime opportunity to enter in if you're going long on a stock. This is going to continue to go forward. We wound up getting the 921 cross happening this morning. You can see this yellow line. This is a 921 cross on the 1 hour time frame, which is a great indication of continued upside movement. You can see it was roughly rejected around the 50 moving average here, which is this blue line, before coming back down. But again, we're not really concerned with that. We're only concerned with the scalp unless you are looking to play longer dated, also looking to purchase shares and go that route. But again, we were scalping this thing for making money for the day, and the opportunity all came in on the shorter time frames. Same concept. We noticed that this had a cross in the morning on the 5-minute chart early on, 1348 cross here in the pre-market, as well as a 921 in pre-market, roughly around 5 o'clock this morning, based upon the 1 hour bounce off of the 200 moving average and exponential moving average yesterday. You can see once we got the cross, it was all upside from there. We entered in calls for the 125 strike this morning, roughly around 10 o'clock this morning. Right here, once it got the bounce, the rejection off the 200 smooth moving average, got its bounce off of the 21 moving average, which is go time. Once we got there, the 9 crossed above, and same concept, it just took off from there. Entered in roughly about the 123.45 mark, and rode this thing all the way up until about 11:30, which is one of my rules to be out of the markets once the volume starts to die off because of the lunch hour that's happening on Wall Street. So basically, we went ahead, took our profits, closed out the position roughly about 70% up from this move all the way up. Had the heights of it somewhere around the 80-90% mark. I don't remember exactly because I do consistently take profits on the way up just in case we do get one of those FU candles that basically drop everything back down. So to protect ourselves against downside, it's a risk management strategy. We enter in and we average our way out of the position at different intervals like I always do. 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, up to 100%. That's when I take all of the money off the table and leave whatever runners I have to continue on. So the concept is making money watching the 9 EMA. Once we got all our crosses, the 9 EMA was our friend. We rode this thing all the way up until about lunchtime, took our profits, and went about our merry way. And on to the next one. So the concept played, you're also going to play this thing to the downside briefly once it hit that mark of 125, which is what we mentioned that would be the top. This is all momentum. This was not pre-choreographed on any types of patterns or anything like that, or harmonically. We just went ahead and used the concepts of momentum trading, which again is just the crosses on the EMAs and SMAs all the way up. Opportunity was there on the downside as well. Once you saw this cross down here, you could have played the downside short up until this smooth moving average, or going down to retest this 200 moving average on the 5-minute chart. And you could have did the same thing going back up into the end of the day. So great opportunity on Amazon in 2 directions if you wanted to play both sides. Again, I typically like to trade in the early morning, and I'll come back and see what's available for the evening time, roughly after about 1:45 into close, because that's when the volume starts to kick back in after the lunch hour that takes place during the day. All right, now I got the next chart up here. Got Apple pulled up on the 1-hour time frame. Apple was again more of a similar situation, but it was more set up behind the idea for hype and what people are considering to be the blow off top that we're expecting on the markets, or a lot of people are expecting on the markets after the FOMC. But I did go ahead and post on Twitter that, generally speaking, a lot of people like to use Apple as a flight to safety in case of an impending crash, because Apple obviously is a very huge company. They do very well for themselves, and it's a location that people just like to park their money in case of anything going wrong. The same thing applies to gold and oil types of stocks, commodity types of stocks as well. So in this particular case, I knew that Apple just recently had some great news with the advent of the headset that they just put out there for augmented reality. So I knew the hype was still there. There was a pretty drastic sell-off the other day, which was on lower and lower volume. So the opportunity was there to come back in off of this double bottom setup here that just played out. You got this double bottom setup here that took place. The 177.55 area was basically the location to jump in on. You can see that the double bottom, or W setup here, you can see came in handy. They got it rejected here at the 50 moving average, which is this blue line, came back in, looped back around, and you got your cross here for the 921, the yellow area here, and then as well as the 1348 later on in the day. So this move is going to continue. It's not over yet. At about 10 a.m. again this morning, went and entered those Apple calls because I knew this thing was going to continue to move up, which also carried the market upwards. And this thing was also a pretty good one. 5-minute charts, you can see that we had those crosses I mentioned above the smooth moving average after we got our retest, and pretty much it was game on. We had the move upward. I went and entered $182.50 calls for next week. I expected this to move a little bit slower than what it did, but hey, we'll take it because it moved a lot quicker. That means the contracts move quicker for us. Generally speaking, Apple contracts move very slowly, but this thing was on a mission, and I wound up getting somewhere around 40% return on investment on some of those calls. So the concept again played the same. 1348 cross, 921 cross above the 200 smooth moving average. We had plotted our resistances. I knew that 180 was going to be the area where we found the most resistance, being that it's a psychological number, psychological area. Again, I wanted to get out of my calls prior to lunch, so I was out by about 11:30 just based on time. It did obviously push higher throughout the day, but I was pretty much happy with the profits that I made at that point in time, and just played my plan, stuck to it. And from there, was able to enter the calls roughly about 10 o'clock this morning, which is right above the 200 moving average, and the rest is history. This played all the way upwards. Got out of those 182 calls at roughly about the 180 mark, just a little before 180. And from there, you can see that there was opportunity to continue this thing on. Not much put opportunity, but it was a great hold if we're able to hold those 182 calls for next week's date, 6/16, because I do think this is going to continue. You may have a little bit of choppiness roughly about that 180 mark, but this thing is going to continue going forward. Deal's not done yet. If you got in, congratulations. But if you're not into these things and not into these plays and you're not seeing them, follow me on Twitter. I post a lot of high quality plays there. My link is down in the description. But this is what we do. We watch out for these opportunities. We help each other out. And I post these things in order for us to put some money in our pockets and get this power back. If you like this type of content, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the like button on this thing, interact with the video. It really helps the channel out a lot. Comments, questions, concerns, hit me up on the comment box here. Once again, we're going to be here every single day, growing our portfolios together and making the outcome income for 2023. Like, comment, subscribe. more plays to come, more reviews to come. I'm going to see you forward on the next video. Take it easy. Peace.